Welcome back to Hardcore Ultimate Iron Man. 60 ranged is required to help the Elven Rebels. And so, there it is. Level 60 range. We have unlocked such things as Red Dragon Hide, Dragon Knives, Obsidian Rings, all sorts of interesting stuff. Technically, we could go and make some Red Dragon Hide chaps and boost a little bit to make a Red Dragon Hide body. But again, we can't really store that. So, maybe later. For now, I have a handful of bolts left. And 61 is also a good range level. So we'll try to just get that done here. At the crabs. And here is level 61. For the rune crossbow. Now we would have to get one of those in some way, shape, or form. But not right now. We need to go and take care of our range gear, since we don't need it right now. We can put the Spined and the Shazian back in the house. That's easy enough. The Dwarven crossbow is very replaceable. But I'm going to do something more with the Blue Dragon Hide. There are 2 stash units for the Blue Dragon Hide body. So I chose the hard stash unit here at the top of the lighthouse. This one also needs Blue D-Hide Vambraces, which I had not previously made since Barrow's gloves are much better. But those can be stored here. For the Blue D-Hide chaps, things are a little bit more awkward. I would either need to get some fishing boosts or levels, and then a Rune Warhammer drop, or a Rune Full Helm drop, and we can store the Fire Battle Staff. So, for now, I'm just going to alch the Blue D-Hide chaps. Easily retrievable when we need them, which is not right now. Because right now, questing. Due to events in this quest, we can't just go and pick up everything we need. So it's going to be a bit piecemeal. But we start by talking to MacLeod here. We finished consecrating the tomb last time, and now we are ready to be taken to Arianwin, because we have 60 range. Arianwin is over in Letya, and we can be taken right there. Start Mourning's End, Part 1. And that was a fantastic trip through the Elven lands. Got to avoid all the traps and whatnot. And now here we are, in a nice little town. Also, we got a free crystal seed here that can teleport us back here. Very convenient. It only has 4 charges, but if we run out, MacLeod can re-sing it, get some more charges on it. But still, very helpful. And she is heading back out into the forest. And here we are, with the leader of the Elven Rebellion. Elven Resistance, even. They're doing their whole thing. It wasn't very easy to get here. Had to convince people to even trust us in the first place. Which makes a lot of sense, based on the things that have happened over here. But now, we can start working against King Lothus and Lord Ireworth. We can right our previous wrongs. But first we want to get everything crystal clear what's going on here. Why are Lothus and Ireworth working together? What's the plague for? And we only have some of that information. Let's begin. Long ago, the elves lived in harmony in the city of Prifddinas with their goddess, Seren. At the end of the God Wars, Seren was lost to us. And then they were alone. This is when Baxtorian became the king. This allowed them to expand to the east until Lord Ireworth pledged himself to Zamorak, the Dark Lord. And with that rift, he took Prifddinas. Baxtorian tried to come back and get it back, but was unsuccessful. And since they couldn't retake the city, they reverted the entire city to crystal. Into a crystal seed. So now it's just an empty field out there. After that, Baxtorian went back east. And then the whole issue with Galariel happened. And they're dead. After all that, this whole area erupted into civil war and has been fighting ever since. King Lothus is a bit of a new addition to this whole mess. He's pledged support in order to retake Camelot. And Lord Ireworth wants to infiltrate West Ardoin. The Mourners that we have come to know through this quest series are in fact elves in service to Lord Ireworth. They cross the Arandar mountain pass, which we now have access to. And the plague was just a convenient cover for them to be in the city unchallenged. Since we are much more familiar with West Ardoin, we are going to infiltrate their infiltration to figure out what is going on. To start this plan, we need to go check out those mourners in the mountain pass. And to get there, we could either travel through Isafdar or just go around from the other side. And going around from the other side would be much easier. So we are going to do that. Tucked into the corner, way out of the way, here's the gate to Arandar, which we are allowed to go through, which is convenient. Because otherwise, we wouldn't be able to catch these mourners off guard. They're only level 11, but they've got some tricks up their sleeves. They throw a potion, it knocks you down to 20 HP, and 20 in all your combat stats. which is very dangerous. It just keeps on staying at 20 here. So we can pick up all the things they dropped. We got a full suit and a letter. We got a cape, some boots, a gas mask, some gloves, and ripped trousers, and a bloody top. So we're going to need to get these repaired to use them. Also, none of the other mourners seem to care about the evidence of a struggle right here. So I guess that's better for us. In order to clean the top, we need to go to Taverley. But with 21 magic, that's going to be difficult. But we can get our stats restored up at the Ferox Enclave. And then we'll be good to go. Over here, in Taverley, Tegid is cleaning some clothes. And we want to borrow his soap that can clean out this bloodstain. But he's not going to give it to us. And it's his own secret recipe. So, here we are. To be fair, we also have stolen laundry from him previously. So, we can just grab the bar of soap. Do a bit of stealing. And then with our bucket of water, we can clean up the blood. Presumably, that was elf blood. From the elf that we killed. Or maybe it was all of our blood gushing out when he dropped us to 20 HP somehow. Either way, that is the top cleaned up. So now we just need to repair the trousers. And that happens back in Letya. Which is very easy to get to, since we can just teleport back here. I am not going to complain about it. Oronwen, here, can mend the trousers. Luckily, they are elven in make. So she can actually do something with them. They're very broken. But she can fix them. 2 pieces of silk and some bear fur. And I have those right here. It's almost like you knew what I needed. Yeah, something like that. And they're repaired. Fantastic. So now, we can just pop all these on. We got our new mourner outfit. Very cool. Again, for inventory space purposes, we can go put the rest of our graceful back in the house. And at this point, we should be okay to go and grab the rest of the items we need. Some of them more annoying than others. By far, the most annoying thing we need to get is another barrel of Naphtha. At the still here. Let's see if we can do this a bit better than last time. Add the tar. Pressure. That should hold everything right. Put in some coal. That's going to heat everything up a little bit. Not quite enough. Add another coal. It's going down. Pressure's fine. It looks like we're not in the green zone for the heat, but it's working. So I'll count that as a win. And we close out of here. And we need an empty barrel to put the naphtha in. Because we stored the coal tar in here previously, now we have an empty barrel again. Now we need more coal. Okay. Oh, we got it back. And I think we still have another... I think we have another barrel of coal tar in here now. This is an awkward state of the still here, but okay. We got what we needed. We can drop this other barrel. That one's still full. Sure. It's fine. Now we can go get the much easier items. Once again, I am very glad to have 75 plus wood cutting. Easily can chop down some magic trees, get some magic logs. Had to go pick up a bellows, kill a chicken and a cow. And now we're here at the Grand Tree buying some pre-made toad crunchies. And with that, we should be ready to head to the Mourner base in West Ardoyne. Assuming that nobody cares about all of our extra things we're wearing, we're just going to march straight on in here and head downstairs. This is where the real stuff happens. We got level 108 mourners instead of level 11. And the leader here, Esselt. We've got our letter saying that we are ready to join the Death Guard. So let's do that. I'm one of the new recruits. Yes. He is in charge here. We have our paperwork, and that's all in order. So now, we're in the Death Guard, so that's fun. For our first assignment, we need to keep people believing that a plague exists. We're going to get some information about why they're doing this as part of our spying here. We are here for securing the city for Lord Arworth, so we can access the caves below. And in the caves is something classified. Fair enough. And that is where the plague comes in. Keeping people out of West Ardoyne. And also getting people to do some work down here. They can wander around the city with the mourner disguises and abduct the citizens to come mining in the caves. Just pretend that they caught the plague. Chuck them in the mines. Nobody is really catching on to their problems that they're causing. Except for Elena, who was asking too many questions. But she escaped with some adventurer. But that adventurer is too stupid. And he went to go kill King Tyrus. So it all worked out. But we need to keep the plague up here. And the most important part that we're going to be doing involves the sheep. They're all different colors, so everyone just assumes they have the plague. But in reality, they're just dyed. No sheep could actually turn blue or green. The one problem is that the dye keeps washing out, so they have to send people out to the sheep to re-dye them. And it needs to be a bit discreet. Previously, they used a gnomic device that fires fat dye parcels that rupture on impact. They've ran out of the parcels. The device is broken. So in order to get this fixed, they have the gnome inventor here, where they are torturing to try to get him to fix the device. So before we can go dye some sheep, we need to deal with this gnome on a rack. Hello, gnome on a rack. Hey, fix the thing? Of course he's not going to comply with that. They've tried all the torture methods, and he's not going to tell them anything. Stretched his eyelid, fed him nail and prune stew, set fire to his nostril hair, had rabid rabbits nibble his toes, twisted his arm, extracted his wisdom teeth, except gnomes don't have wisdom teeth. So there's no possible amount of pain that can get him to comply. And here he slips up a bit, telling us that he is craving toad crunchies and doesn't like being tickled. And since we were paying attention here, we can answer correctly. And that's a big problem for him. So now, we can get a bit of bribing going. We brought the feather and the crunchies. So here we go. You want me to tickle your feet? Nope. You get the toe crunchies. And no tickling. In return for the information. Soft leather and magic logs. And I have all that. So we just let him up and he'll fix it. I kind of have to let him up to fix this guy in here. But the gnome can't leave this room, which I guess is fair. And he got some cookies out of the deal, so that's something. And now we have the fixed device. Fantastic. Still can't do the sheep yet, since we don't know what the device fires. These dye parcel things. They are, in fact, toads. Get some toads. Puff them up with bellows filled with the dye. And there you go. Toad projectiles. The toads are fine, though. A bit of dye never hurt anything. It's the firing them out and then they explode part that kills them. Anyways. We can get these toads in the filled up hills easily enough. So we can go and do that. But we are going to need a bit of dyes. And there's a few ways to get that done. We could either make multiple trips collecting all the ingredients we need for dyes, or we could just go buy some dyes. Back and let you. It does use another charge here, which is unfortunate. But I'm sure we'll be able to manage. We can always just get this recharged, so it's not a huge deal. We need all the colors for the sheep. That means we need some red dyes, blue dyes, yellow dyes, and green dyes. Technically, we might be okay with only one dye each. But if we miss, we're going to need another dye, so probably best off bringing multiples. Also, we're out of law runes right now. We'll have to fix that. But we can just head over to Castle Wars, where we can find some toads right here. We just need to load up the dye in the bellows, and then use that dye bellows on a toad, and ta-da, red toad. And then we continue this for all the other colors and all the other toads. So I'm just going to fill all these up, and then we can get launching. Now it's time for the sheep. Red toad in the device. Then we need to wield the device. Select aim and fire. And then use these buttons to move our targeting until we get to a sheep. Then we need to hope the sheep doesn't move to re-dye them the correct color. And then we can remove the device, load in the next color, wield it, aim it, and repeat. There's limitations to where we can aim, and we managed to hit that one right while it was moving. This is the basic premise of this. So as long as we don't mess up twice on the last two sheep here, we will get this done. Manage that with perfect accuracy. So technically, we only need to get one of each dye. But it is good to have the backups. And now that we are done with the sheep coloring, we can return to see what the next task is going to be. And we're back. The sheep are nicely colored. So the next thing we need to do was originally going to be somebody else's job, but since we're here, they need somebody to get ill from the plague. But since it doesn't exist, how are we going to do that? They've got a new idea here. Previously, somebody put something in their food that gave them all plague-like symptoms. So we need to figure out what they were poisoned with and to reproduce that effect. Ideally, we want the poison to not be fatal, so they can grab a bunch of sick people to throw in the mines. We can distribute the poison very effectively, because all the food in West Ardoin comes from 3 supply points. Should be easy enough. We're resourceful, so we'll come up with something. He's no biologist, so this is up to us. I know a biologist, though. Very trustworthy. So we can do this. Of course, much like the stupid adventurer that they tricked into killing Tyrus, I am also the one that poisoned their food. So here we are, with rotten apples nearby. How they expected anyone else to know what they got sick from food poisoning a while back was, I'm not sure. But here we are, making progress. We're going to need Elena's help with what's actually going on with the apple. Elena? Sure. But since we have the apple, that should be enough to start with. I look like a mourner, but I'm not actually. She didn't even recognize me, which makes sense, what with the whole outfit. Anyways, the king is lying about everything, basically. I killed Tyrus, and they're trying to summon the Dark Lord. It's all quite a mess. I've joined up with the Elven Resistance, and I've snuck into the Mourner HQ. And it's just a whole thing out here. Also, the Mourners are kidnapping people. But you already know that. So, to help me fix this problem, we need to poison a ton of people. Based on rotten apples. But it's not actually the apple that the poison is based on. It's going to be some kind of mold on the apple. She does not agree with the whole poisoning everybody plan. But this is our best shot. So here we go. I have the rotten apple that we need. And she does some tests on it. Managed to isolate the toxin. It's a byproduct of mold. So it's not going to be fatal, which is exactly what we need. And we need to contaminate 2/3 of all the food. So we're going to need a very large amount of toxin. And we also need to refine it, or people will notice all the rotten apples. And so, to do this, it's going to be a whole process. We need to go get a lot of rotten apples. And then we can dissolve the toxin into a liquid. Some form of solvent. And that is what the naphtha is for. So we take that, and some mashed rotten apples, strain out the solids, and we should be good to go. Also, it's very flammable, so be aware of that. And here is a large sieve. There is an apple orchard nearby, and that should work. Assuming that these apples have the same mold on them. But we're just going to assume that, I suppose. Nowhere else we're going to get a ton of rotten apples, so here we go. It sure is convenient that they just left these piles of rotten apples for me to use. One entire barrel of apples. I'm going to jam it in the press here. And we crush it by just stomping down on it. And we pour the crushed apples into a barrel. This would be a fun barrel of apple cider in the making, except all the apples were rotten to start, so here we are. Combine these two together. Now we have some mush. Get the solids out. And now we have toxic naphthalene. Oh boy. Now we just need to cook this very carefully. Where better to cook this toxic disaster than right here back in the Mourner base? We separate the fluids, evaporate them off, and we're left with some toxic powder that we can go distribute to 2/3 of all the food in the city. One of the locations we can find right here. Just mix it in with the grain. Can't even tell. That's full of mold and such. And then we can find another one over at the church. We're just going to a church to contaminate the food supply, because of course we are. Fantastic. Fantastic. Ideal. And now, with that done, we can return down to the basement, victorious in our ridiculous schemes. Makes me wonder what they were doing before the poisoning. They just grab a person and say that they had the plague? Possible. The poisoning is done. Give it a few days, and the slave pens will be nice and full. We are very committed now. So now, we're going to learn what's happening in the mines. Saren ordered the construction of a great temple, and it guards a great power that is key to their plans. The temple, they believe, is down here, and that's what they're digging for. The process has been fairly slow, because they've accidentally mined into a whole bunch of beasts. They're just killing everybody. But they are seeing more evidence that they're getting close to this temple. And now, we have a new task. One of the guards took the key to the mines to be copied. So, once he gets back, we can get that key and head inside. This development should be reported. Also, apparently we're speaking out loud about that. Great choice. It's going to teleport out of here. Don't worry about that. And we can turn it in. Yep, they are doing all sorts of horrible stuff down there. Searching for the temple light. And this is not good. If they get that, they'll probably try to use its power to summon the Dark Lord. They don't seem to have found the temple yet, but they're getting close. So we still have time to thwart this plan. Mourning's End, Part 1, complete. 2 quest points, 25,000 hit points and thieving XP. And we can move swiftly on to Mourning's End Part 2. We need to return to the Mourner headquarters and get into that mine. And then figure out what we can do about the temple. So we can head over there right away. The more inventory space we have for this quest, the better. So I've put some stuff in my loot bag here. Free up some of that space. And also, prayer is useful. So I'm main-handing the lunar staff because it gives 3 prayer bonus. We don't actually need to fight anything. So this is a perfectly acceptable setup. We could also bring like graceful or other prayer boosting equipment, but then that would take up more inventory space. So we're just gonna go with this, see how it works. We are here to talk to Esilt again. They have the key to the mines, and they have a whole bunch of them. So if we lose it, we can get it back easily enough. Out in the mines, one of the dig teams has gone missing, looking for that temple. So we need to go in there and find out what happened. Be wary of all the beasts in the mines. It's a whole thing. And here is our new key. So here we go. We are out in the mine. And the beasts that they are talking about are dark beasts. We can easily get past with just some protect from melee. And that's going to be a theme here. Running down deeper and deeper. It's impressive that they mined all this out. We got some rocks over here that are just rocks. And we come across the dig team. They found the temple. And they're dead. Which is not great. What has happened here? We search the guard here. We can grab a journal and get attacked by a shadow. These are going to be through the entire rest of the quest, annoyingly enough. If we read the journal, this is an elf, since he was one of the mourners. They're over here. Everything's a disaster. Coming down this mine. The beasts. And now the shadows. So, dealing with the shadows is what we're doing here. And now, we will run into the Temple of Light. Using prayer sparingly, because we don't have an infinite supply of prayer potions. Would you just run? Just go. And this whole thing is a light puzzle, because of course it is. Coming up the stairs to the second floor here. Attack a shadow for no reason. Up the stairs to this floor. Take a hit with a prayer. Go down here. Over here. And we can get over here to a dark crystal. A blackened crystal. So use a chisel on that crystal. we get a blackened shard. And that is what we need to bring back to Leia, where we can inform Aaron that the temple is open. The Dig crews have found it, but they were killed by the shadows, and nobody else knows about it just yet. But this is really cutting it close here. Now, we need to get to the temple and figure out why the safeguards have been broken. The shadows are outside the temple, so that means the safeguards are gone. But we need to restore them. There's an altar in this temple with powers over life and death, and that is what Lord Iorwerth is looking for, to summon the Dark Lord. So we really, really need to get this temple safeguarded. To do this, we need the crystal that's powering the safeguards to be fixed. It's black in color, and that is this blackened crystal that we just grabbed out of there. It was at the top floor, which makes sense. So now we need to make a replacement to fix the safeguards. Elened's coming over here, making a new crystal, and that'll work very nicely. Newly formed crystal. Now all we need to do is bring this back to the temple. Bring it to said altar with power over life and death. And that will give it the power it needs to safeguard the temple. The hard part is going to be getting to the altar. But I'll just get right on it. Whew. Here we go. Here we go. And now, the puzzle can start. Heading into the temple here, we need to get a light to bounce from here through various mirrors and crystals, bouncing all over the place, to eventually open that door, and then another door to get to the altar. And that is a whole thing. So first, we're going to run around a bit, open up some inventory spaces. Over here in this room, we can add a rope to this rock to make a shortcut to the lower level here. We can also drop the key, because we can get an infinite supply of those to get back into the mines. So that is 2 more inventory spaces to work with, which is just fantastic. Now, we come over to the starting pillar, where we can grab all the things that we will use to open the rest of this. Looks like one of the guards actually managed to get all the way in here. And there's a shadow in here. They only have a few HP, so we probably could bash them down with the staff if necessary. And we could wield the Barrow's gloves for more stats here. Ultimately, this becomes a colored light puzzle. Periodically, we can use this lever and dispenser to get a bunch of crystals and mirrors. We then use said crystals and mirrors on the various pillars to rotate and get the lights where we want them to be going. And we do all this in order to bounce the light to locations we need it. Coloring it correctly in order to open up various doors. It's extra awkward to rotate the lights while getting attacked by a shadow. But this part is potentially even more annoying. Crossing these wall supports. There is a lot of them, so there's a lot of chances to fail. But hopefully 80 agility will be good enough. And we were successful, which is fantastic. So that means we can come through here, since we opened up this light, open up this door by shining the correct light on it. We can open up this chest to get more mirrors and crystals and all that. So now, we can return to the first section. Potentially falling down here again, but if we do, that's fine. Ultimately, we need to do a whole bunch of various puzzles here to get to the different sections of the temple to grab more crystals. And it's just an entire thing over here. After most of the puzzles, you can come here and pull the lever to get everything back. Just makes things simpler. Except for the parts where it makes things more difficult. But now, we come to the part where inventory is a bit of a situation. We can put some of these in locations. Come pick up more. It just makes running around more awkward. So for this second puzzle, we can come over here. Come over here. And this new crystal goes in this one. So now we have a new different colored light that we can use. And then we can collect from here. There's 5 items in there, so we can just take all the rest of the bits. And then we run back out into the shadow-filled maze to keep putting everything where it needs to be, rotating it as necessary, getting attacked by shadows. Just a whole thing. And going around here, we can open up the second door, which has another chest, which is full of things. Ta-da. 2 more mirrors. Fantastic. This is one of those situations where we want to not pull the lever, though. We can head back outside this room, grab the yellow crystal from here, putting it back in our inventory. And then we start the 3-dimensionality of the puzzle by sending the light upwards. As you might expect, things get more complicated the longer things go on here. So now we are on the upper floor, slap in another mirror, and it goes through an unaccessible pillar, which has a different gem in it, changes the color, then it flies to the end of the dungeon, and then goes straight down. So from here, we just need to get to where it's going all the way to the bottom. running past all the shadows, praying as necessary, and running, and running, and running out of run, which is suboptimal, of course. Just need to get over to the corner here, where we sent the light down. Or should be here. It's all a mess. Everything's a mess. We're praying. It's a prayer restore. Light's not here. Okay. Let me get to a safe location we can find out what we need to do here. And that is a difficult thing to say. Running around, praying, doing a puzzle and commentary at the same time. Making things difficult for ourselves. We sent the light down that way. Northwest corner. We need to go to the corner, it looks like. Go to the corner at the top to actually send it down. Okay. To get there, what we need to do is come around the outside or something. Whenever we can get into a situation where we're just walking away from the shadows and they can't get to us, that is optimal. Can't get there from here. We're on the middle floor. This is not right. Yeah, this place is a whole thing. So what we need to do is go back up to the top floor from this ladder. And then from there we need to run around to get to the corner. If we run out of supplies, we can easily retreat. Or we can't go from this side. Okay. We need to go down to go back up. Other ladder, other location. Yeah. This is pretty much it. It would be a lot less annoying if it wasn't for the shadows. The shadows definitely don't make this easy. We need to go to this staircase to get to the upper floor. And this is the upper floor where we can move to other locations from the upper floor. And then from here, we can start making our way over towards the corner. It is a whole thing. We couldn't go just straight across, because, of course, whenever they made this temple, they put that pillar in there, put a colored crystal in it, and then seal the entire room up. Also, saw blades exist, so that's fun. You need to jump past those. And then this should be going the right way now. And now we can go back to the bottom in the corner. Make our way all the way back through the dungeon. And we're running past the wrong way. Fantastic. Yeah. I'm gonna get down there. Back down where we tried to go the previous time. We can go through here, since the light was automatically placed that way. Switch the mirror that's already in there. Then we run in here to the chest, where we grab a whole bunch more stuff, because of course we do. From here, we want to not reset the puzzle. I'm trying to get to a good spot here. Ow. I failed to get to a good spot here and got whacked in the face. We've got the rope secured, which we're going to use for this next part. From chest 3, we need to come back into this room, which we are in, and rotate so we can leave, which is nice. We can't remove the mirror from this pillar, We're just putting it back so we can leave. Now we need to head back through the dungeon to the middle floor. Pretty much towards the beginning, but not resetting things. Very important. We are going to be making use of the fact we already have the light heading upwards to switch out to the yellow light right here. Say about this shadow here. And since this is already going up and bouncing the correct direction, we can just head up to the upper corner by running down this way and taking the staircase all the way back to the corner we were in previously. Past the saw blades and all that. Saving up some run energy between excursions out into the puzzle is really working out. Because we can get up here where we have a red light, which is currently being bounced down from here, which is not really what we need. We need it to go this way. And now, we somehow run through the red light without getting hit by the light, just passing through our brain. Yep. Until we get down here to this area, where we need to point this downwards. And then from here, now that it's shining all the way down, we need to head to the bottom floor. So that means going back down the staircase, and then going down the other staircase, and then running to the bottom corner. Because of course he does. Now is the part where we get to use the rope that we brought to take a shortcut down to here. Because this is where the light has opened up the door to get into this room. We can open up this and get a blue crystal. Very fun. And now, we get to go and reset the entire puzzle. That is going to mean a lot of items. More, by far, than the inventory space we currently have. But we will manage. But first, run energy. Pull the lever to reset the puzzle. And now there are 9 items in this tray, and we have 3 inventory spaces. I'm going to top off the prayer dose, getting us to 4, and then temporarily drop some potatoes, so we can take everything. Now we need to set up the first part of the next puzzle. Start with the classic light beams coming over here. Then we angle it south. Put in the yellow crystal. Continue south. Mirror here. And we get to cross across here. With any luck, we will manage to get across here without too many problems. We've only failed once so far. I think after this we don't need to worry about this again. I hope. Coming in here was necessary to put the blue crystal there. And then we just leave. If we cross across here successfully, we can continue this puzzle. And we failed, because of course we did. Why wouldn't we? Well, it's better to fail leaving that room than to fail going into that room. Because if we're trying to leave, failing also gets us outside, so it's fine. But now what we need to do is go and grab some more of the mirrors out. So grab that mirror out of there. Then we need to go and rotate this one. Safe spot the shadow. It's all quite a difficulty. Leaving the yellow crystal in the middle there, though. Rotate this one to shine the light upwards. That was right. You can see it's going upwards from the tiny little light here. Now we have to head to the top floor. We'll probably go pick up our potatoes. Would be a good idea. Give me my potatoes. These are mine. Perfect. And we should probably get run energy while we're here. Another good safe spot here is this bit of between the staircases leading towards the end. We're heading back up to the top floor. We've sent the light to this pillar here. So now we need to bounce it through there. And of course, since we can't actually go into there without going around to the dark crystal, it just shoots across the top. Then we come over here to this pillar, where we're going to use the fractured crystal to split the beam into 3 other directions. It's all very exciting. Send one beam down that way, which goes through another wall, because of course it does. And then this pillar, we need to bounce this way. And then from here, downwards. And this one over here needs to actually be going a different direction. This also needs to go down. Not quite. There we go. Now that one is facing the right way. We've got the corner heading to down, the middle going down, and the other way is just bouncing off, which is fine. We now need to go back to the bottom floor, where we can pick up some of the lights. And here is the green light we have sent downwards. Pop in the mirror here, rotate it to go south, where we use another mirror to send it back this way. And that gets us this door opened, where we have access to the blue light, which came down from above. Pop a mirror in here, and that opens the other door. Gets us in here to the chest, where we find even more parts, because of course we do. And now, it's time for the final puzzle. The big one. No surprises there. We need to reset the whole thing and start throwing lights literally everywhere. Here we go. Pulling the lever. Resetting everything. If we go to collect, there are 13 things in here. If we wanted to grab everything all at once, we would need to drop all of our supplies. But if we'd be a little tactical here, we can get this done easily enough. I'm going to start by taking the crystals. So we now have 5 different crystals here. We don't, in fact, need the cyan crystal. So this will just pop that back into the maze. Back into here. We'd have to pull the lever, though. We're not going to do that. So now we take some mirrors. And that is enough to get us started here. Of course, we need to bounce from the first location. And then over here at the second one, we're heading straight down. Back to the staircase. Heading to the lower level. Run north of here to safe spot this guy. We can bounce the light over to this pillar. Or we put a fractured crystal, bouncing it in all possible directions. Then we can run up to here, where we are going to bounce it. Bounce it upwards. And since we have this light going in multiple directions, we can follow another one of the paths here, heading down this way, where we're going to put the other fractured crystal, bouncing it into even more directions. From here, we need this one going back upwards. And the other one over on this side, also heading back upwards. With that, we can now go back to the dispenser to grab some more bits. If we collect here, we really just need the mirrors, and we get all of them. So now I'm going to refill the red energy, and then we can go put even more things just everywhere. Now we start getting all the beams heading to the middle and the end. Yellow crystal, right in here. Change this one to yellow. Top floor, add a mirror. Get attacked by a shadow. Safe spot the shadow, rotate the mirror to go back through this inaccessible pillar. Turns that one red, continues on to the corner. And then from here, we head back down the ladder, because there's not really much more we can access from that direction. And head over to the top floor for the other beams. Up here, at the top floor, we start by taking the green light that's in here and spinning it to head that way, which then bounces down through there, and then down to the middle. Next, we take the other light we sent to the top, put it in there, bounce it into this pillar, heading that way. Climb back down these stairs, up these stairs, where we bounce this light again to here. Place the blue crystal in there, and that is 2 of the 3. And then we only need 1 more, heading to the bottom there. And to do that, we pass the saw blades, stick the mirror in here to go south, And then in the pillar here, we have this light. Bounce it across there. Then it bounces down and to the doorway. And now we can go through. All of this work to get the lights exactly where they need to be. So we can run past the saw blades multiple times, making mistakes. But that is basically the puzzle done. We come down through this door where we can rotate the light in here, which gets to the final pillar and the final door, bring us to the altar and a dwarf. He wants to know how we're here, and we have the same question. But he asked first, so we'll answer. We solved a huge 3D light puzzle full of angry shadows attacking us constantly. And he came through a hole in the back. It's not exactly an easy way, because the other side of that hole is the underground pass. So, both ways to get here are pretty annoying. He knows us from our adventures down in the underground pass that his friends told him about. And he will offer us a death talisman, which we need to access this altar. But he needs a few things. And this is the part where if we had 90 Slayer, we could go kill some dark beasts. But we don't have that whatsoever. So we need all of these things. 50 different items, ranging in difficulty from not at all to just a little bit. The hard part, of course, being we need to bring 50 items back through this maze. Well, it's not a maze anymore. It's just a straight shot. But since we're going to be leaving and getting these items and coming back, we must be very sure we have activated the lights correctly, that we can walk through here. Otherwise, we need to go through the underground pass, which is just not ideal. But with that, we'll be able to easily make our runs through here without doing any prayer, potion, or food. So we can just get rid of all that. We have our list, and we have what looks like it's going to be 17 inventory spaces. So we can do this in 3 runs. We got lucky here with the archery ticket. That could have been Castle Wars, and that would have been awkward, since I'm not sure which of our items we could possibly bring to Castle Wars. So luckily we avoided that. But I'm going to go and get the first 17 of these items. First bunch of items. Here you go. Nothing too complicated in here. But getting them in here was a bit of an extra complication. We needed 1 more inventory space in order to get the key to get into the mines. So we had to drop an item, take the key, go through the door, drop an item, go back through the door, drop the key, pick up the item we dropped the first time, and go... Not quite that. Drop an item, pick up the key, go through the door, drop an item, go back through the door, pick up the first item, go back through the door, drop the key, pick up the second item. Yeah. Just a bit of juggling through a doorway. But still absolutely worth it, because it allows us to do this in 3 trips. And remember, rotate so you can leave. The second set of items. only particularly noteworthy item in this bunch was the Dusty Key, which we had to go all the way through Taverley Dungeon to get. But compared to this temple, Taverley Dungeon's not a huge deal. So here is the second bunch of things. And now, one more set to go. The book that we need is the Prifddinas History. Actual title, The Creation of Prifddinas, which we should be able to get in our house here. There it is. This is a very questionable menu. But for the most part, you don't need to take a whole bunch of books out of your house, so it's probably fine. Creation of Prifddinas. There it is. And it's called Prifddinas History as the actual book. And now I'm going to go get the ticket that we need. We need an archery ticket. So come over here to the Ranging Guild. First time we've ever been here. That's a medium achievement diary task. Get the bronze arrows for the target thing here. Use the arrows. And we just shoot all these. We only need the one ticket. So whatever we hit will be fine. This is definitely a way to get range XP, I guess. It's definitely something. That was a bullseye that time. Fantastic. Alright. So we get 40 archery tickets, which is 40 times the amount we need. But hey, that's what we needed. The last item I need is actually back in the Elven Lands. And since I'm here, I'll get Eluned to recharge my crystal. Could have done that earlier, last time I was in Letia, but I didn't, so here we are. So now I just need to go out into the forest and get what I need. And that item is, ow, white berries. We also could have grabbed these from deep in the wilderness, but of course that's not going to happen. So there we go. I'll go cure this poison. Then it's back for the final trip into the Temple of Light. I did the thing. I gotta go to the underground pass now. Great. Alright, here we are. So that is how you get in this way. They're both awful. Here's the rest of your things. Go for it. And here is the Death Talisman. If we want another, we can do his list again to get it. Awful. Death Talisman. On the altar. Newly made crystal. Empowered. And now we can go and put this back where it belongs. Right here. In the old black crystal. Pop this in. And now it's empowered. That'll stop anybody coming in here. At least from that side. But as long as they don't figure out that they can go through the underground pass, we are good to go. I have repaired the safeguards. They'll stop them for 1,000 years. Impressive. Yeah, except for the back entrance. From the underground pass, yeah. So we're going to need to make sure that side's also secure. But for now, everything is good. And this isn't over. Iworth is still at large, and they're not strong enough to stop him. But for the time being, the threat has been dealt with. We will be back for future developments at some point. 2 quest points, access to the Death Altar, and 20,000 agility XP. We can also use this crystal trinket if we want to get back in through the front. Not right now. We also still have this teleport crystal, which we can't really do too much with. We're probably just gonna drop that too. Has a high alch of 9. No. I will be keeping this death talisman though, because there is stuff we can do with that later. But for now, that quest is complete. The next quest in this quest line is Song of the Elves. And we're not quite there yet. Grandmaster quest and all that. And after that quest, I'm ready to go and do something a little more relaxed. Next time, goodbye.